Information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Welcome to episode 308 of the HMBT podcast. Today I'm sitting with Bob Cargill, who I met through the American Marketing Association. Bob is an adjunct professor, content creator, social media consultant, and public speaker who has worked for some 500 different clients over the years. His work has been recognized with over 40 awards from the New England Direct Marketing Association, including gold for his blog on marketing, which is thebobcargill.com. Check that out, which he launched in 2004, and Direct Marketer of the Year in 2009. He's also recorded over 200 episodes of his own podcast, Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. Make sure to subscribe to that. And he has over 1,200 videos on his own YouTube channel. Bob is also the past president of the American Marketing Association, Boston chapter, actually serving 2 terms, 2018 to 2020 and 2022 to 2024. He's also a past president of the New England Direct Marketing Association from 1999 to 2000. Bob has also written a book published, and it's about his career in marketing. It's titled 20 Jobs, 20 Lessons. I have a copy. A Long, Strange Career in Marketing from Junk Mail to Social Media. I don't think this is going to be an episode anyone's going to want to miss because, Bob, you have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and what I'd like to talk about today is where is marketing going with all these new and exciting things that are happening with, say, AI and just things are the way they're happening in corporate America this day and age. And I know you love to create a lot of content. So let's talk about, in this day and age, if you're a solopreneur, if you're just a content writer, marketer, or you're in corporate America, what should we be doing today?
Hank, great introduction. I thank you. You have a radio voice. I mean, that was so perfect. I just that alone, I'm going to clip and maybe share all over social as a humble brag. Seriously, Hank, thanks for having me. And great question. It's an open-ended question. How we could go all over the place with that. But that actually is my answer. Marketing is frankly all over the place right now. I think everybody's trying to wrestle the same challenge to the ground, if you will, with AI, with automation, with the economy, with so much change in the last 5 to 10 years, more than we've seen probably at any other time in maybe Earth's history or our life in our lifetime. Let's put it that way. It's people are juggling, and I will say what I've always said since the internet: embrace AI. Otherwise, you're going to fall dangerously far behind. But let's not forget the human side of business. So writing and speaking, basic communication skills, empathy, having good people skills, all of that still counts, and maybe more than ever. But again, not at the expense of keeping up with AI, embracing AI, and probably partnering with AI. So myself, because I'm been around so long, strange career, very long, strange career have I had. And it began in 1983, before the internet, obviously. I wore one hat. I was a writer, copywriter. That's how I started out. That job, what I did, writing for RCA Direct Marketing, writing little blurbs for records and tapes, could probably be done by AI quite easily, I will admit. So that's how, that's a big change. That's what AI is doing to entry-level jobs and some of the simpler, repetitive tasks.
One thing I love about you is I see a lot of people praising you for your work ethic, or I want to call it your marketing ethic. In other words, you do what you teach. You tell people to create video, and then you just go out and do spontaneous stuff. You and I were talking before the cameras rolled, and I said, I need to get more in front of the camera and just do spontaneous content. You do that in a fabulous fashion where it's just habit for you. And I think more and more of the younger generation might be hopping in front of a camera more, but maybe the older folks are still hesitating a little bit, or they're used to a production company coming in and telling them how to act, giving them a script, et cetera. What advice would you give to someone, let's say, because, what was it, in the last week, over 20,000 people got laid off from corporate America, at least, right? let's say a lot of those folks maybe want to start their own business and we know that they need to create video content. What advice would you give to somebody who's never really been in front of a camera to promote a business or to do personal branding? What would you say to someone that's just getting started?
Yeah, so very important. Back to my point about the human touch, the human side of business, putting a face on your brand. And your brand, we are all brands, like it or not, personal brands. And we, in this day and age, so this is even before AI, but it's certainly with the internet, that's what made it so possible, is we need to be recognized online as much or even more so than when we're not online, and because we can't be everywhere at one time physically, but frankly we almost can be virtually, and so we have to make it an extension of ourselves in real life, IRL. We have to, you, as you said, I have this habit, it's a work ethic, whatever you want to call it. It's a part of my life from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. And the habits, it's ironic that, I think the work ethic, the habits were long before the internet ingrained in me. Go back to college, how much I studied, how much I made work and preparation a part of what I do. I'm a long distance runner. I run almost every day. I create content, so I and teach creating content now. So I do that every day. I practice what I preach. What I would say to anybody older like myself, or brand new in the industry, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a pro. You don't need a big budget. You don't need that production company. You can do it all by yourself. Like you and I are doing this podcast all by ourselves, right from our home offices, and simple, $150 microphones, nothing fancy, Zoom, and maybe a few other tools. But if you do something like this, like you're doing, like I'm doing, anybody can do it on a regular basis. You're going to be seen, and like Mark Schaefer's book called Known, you have to be known. Yeah, you have to be seen. Your voice has to be heard in order to stand out among the clutter. And there's such a competition now, a cacophony of noise out there for jobs, for businesses and brands, for clients and customers. It pays off being present on social media on a regular basis, a frequent basis. It's not even a question.
I think a lot of people are hesitant because they don't know how to act or what to say when they're on camera. A bit of advice I would give, let's say somebody was in corporate America, got laid off, and they're going to start doing eBay selling, reselling, right? Buying stuff at Goodwill and stuff like that and sell it. You can videotape yourself, getting the pieces of articles of clothing ready and getting it ready to ship and all these things, printing labels, and then do a voiceover for that later on, right? This way you can think about it, then write out a script and just do a voiceover. So you don't have to worry about being on camera and talking at the same time. And now with AI, and you mentioned AI earlier, I'm playing around a lot with HeyGen. Anybody that
I know
follows
about
me
that.
knows
Yep.
I'm doing that. And I'm still kind of hesitant to say I want a one-to-one avatar of me, a clone of me doing stuff because I feel like people are going to judge me, but they're not, but that's a worry I have. But I created like a cartoon version of me, which I feel like is fun. And I say, AI, hey, care to give you an AI tip. And then I have the AI avatar do it with my voiceover. And I think that for me, that's been fun to actually figure out how to do that. And it allows me to create content without being on camera. Uh, get creative, right? And like you said, start, because I think if you start with that type of content where you're doing the narration or you're even using your hey Jen as an avatar, then at some point you will start feeling comfortable and you will be able to get in front of the camera. And like you said, nobody's perfect, and people do not judge as much as you think, right? And one thing I like to mention too is negative engagement, negative comments, and all that actually help you, right? It boosts you in the algorithm. So just
Yes.
ignore them. Don't have a conversation with them. Just ignore them and say, hey, you know what? You don't say it, but then your brain say they actually helped me.
No, you are right. Our presence alone on social, online, is better than no presence in most cases. And So it's nothing wrong with just putting yourself out there extemporaneously. So your suggestion's great. How to could a salesperson do with regard to products and services? They don't have to be on camera. Or hey, Jen, I love that with the avatar. I don't know if you know Julia McCoy, but yeah, look her up. I follow her work, and I haven't met her in person, but I feel like I know her, and that's a parasocial relationship. I feel like I know her because I see her all the time on social, and that's how you do it. You just get on and talk about your work, talk about yourself. I say take people behind the scenes because they want to get to know you in order to do business with you. And then the more you talk, the more comfortable you get at it, and you get a little more strategic maybe. But it's all right to be, as you say, as I've already said, we're both saying imperfect. Nobody's perfect. I'll speak for myself, and sometimes that's what endears us to others, because then people can relate to us more versus the polished, the perfect, the orchestrated, the over choreographed. So I think we with two peas in a pod, Hank. I think I used that term earlier, off camera, but I believe we are in terms of what we do and what we recommend to others. But yeah, a lot of others, even senior level executives, aren't comfortable with it or don't believe in it, Hank. And that's where you and I differ from quite a few out there.
Yeah. I met Julia McCoy a couple of years ago at PubCon, which is an SEO conference, and somebody must have put a bug in her ear because she came over and she said, "Hey, my marketing team didn't make it, and I hear you love to record sessions at conferences." And I took my mics out, my wireless mics, I mic'd her up, I recorded it, I gave it to her later. Then I had a discussion. I actually did a video with her, but she's doing great things. If you don't know her, check out firstmovers.ai. She is on YouTube. Her last name's McCoy, so she wears a Star Trek shirt, or her AI clone does. One thing I want to know, and I have to reach out to her, is like how many credits does she use with HeyGen per month? Because she's putting out, a few videos a week that are heavily her clone.
Doesn't she have a connection to the company? I think she might have an inside.
Yeah.
Maybe she works for them or has a partnership deal. I don't know, but yeah, she's definitely a someone, a must watch, a must listen to, and a pioneer, trailblazer. And what you said about having your own avatar, that's where I first heard of having your own avatar, was Julia McCoy, who's done it in a big way. Good for you, Hank. I mean, you're doing the same thing. It's something I want to do. I haven't done yet. Other people have done them of me. I know a few people totally into AI and using those kind of tools. I haven't gone that far with it because I do so much of my just natural walking and talking, and I'm very comfortable with it. But maybe that's next, the avatar, and
Yeah.
and making it more easier, I guess, for us, right? We don't have to do all the work ourselves. Our avatar, our clone can do it. I have
Right.
a clone voice, though.
Yeah. Okay.
I know I not to digress or go on, but I cloned my voice using 11 Labs,
Yep.
and that has my audiobook. My book is you can listen to it on audio, my voice, but it's not my voice because it's cloned. And I thought that was pretty innovative.
I should have, well, back when I narrated my own book, that wasn't in existence. I wish it was, because I probably could have done a better job. I do a good job like this, in a spontaneous fashion and natural conversation, but me reading my book, it's a little dry.
See what you just said? We just made a point for AI. A lot of people would say, "Oh, that's cheating or that's not real." And I even joke that's my voice, but it's not. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, AI is going to be part of our lives, like the internet, like social media, like all these other great inventions that might not have anything to do with marketing, cars and trains, planes, automobiles. You know what I mean? Light itself, the telephone. It's going to become part of our lives. And I don't think we're going to differentiate all that much and say, "Oh, that's AI." I mean, it's still our work. We're just using a technology that's part of
Yeah.
2026 and beyond.
I saw a social media post and I forgot if it was like business or marketing tip or something. It was something helpful and valuable. And people were bashing it, saying it was created with AI and it's an AI clone and an AI voice. And the comment was like one of the best comments I ever saw. They said, "What do you care if you got value and learned something from this content?" Whereas I see a lot of Facebook people, right, that have pages. They're putting out fake pictures. Like, I just had this deck built and it's kind of wrong. What do you think? And the first guy like posted like, this is the AI because look, the railing's missing in the back there, right? They're using AI to create stuff that is inauthentic in order to what do you call that? Engagement bait people, right? To get
Yeah,
them to
clickbait,
comment, to
rage bait,
like, to
whatever the
yeah,
term is.
that I'm against. But creating content that is helpful, valuable, and informative, I think people should be using AI all the time.
Well, again, what you said, you read your own book, and but you feel that AI could have done it better, and it would still be your voice. So
Yeah.
isn't the reader benefiting by getting a better version of your voice? Do you know what I mean? I tell people my answer to that question is I probably never would have done the audiobook version because I didn't have the time or the patience, or because, like you said, I didn't think I could do a good job. But my AI clone did a pretty damn good job, you know? And
Right.
so you can tell a little bit it's AI, but there's no, pauses, there's no coughing, there's no, you know what I mean? It got it
Yeah.
done just like that.
I guess
It's
you didn't
pretty.
have a budget for a well-known celebrity to read your book, huh?
um, I want to be that well-known celebrity someday. That's why I wanted it in my voice. I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to happen, but no, I didn't have the budget for I don't know, James Earl Jones or someone to read my book.
Yeah, and for me, I think it would have been the same exact words, just read better than I could have read it. And there's nothing against that at all.
Try it, Hank. I use that voice on my blog now, which I started in 2004. All my blog posts, you go to my blog and you can click and hear each post read in my voice. Again, I never could have done that or would have done that on my own without AI. And so it's embracing the tools, partnering with them. I write an old-fashioned blog. I'm saying it's old-fashioned because not a lot of people start blogs nowadays, but it's using the latest tools and technology and talking about the latest tools and technologies.
All right, let me ask you a question. I think I have an idea in my mind, and I want to see if it's right. What are from three to no, let's do one to three. What are your top three marketing channels? And I think I know what number one is.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say LinkedIn. I think,
Well, social media, right? If we're going to talk about like the platform or
yeah, you're
the
saying
channel,
social media
let's say
channels,
channel.
platforms.
Let's talk about channels. So social media is number one, right?
I got you. Podcasting has to be up there. Is that
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a separate channel.
because I have over 200 episodes, and I've been doing that quietly for 5, 6, 7 years now.
Okay.
And video, of course. Again, if that's separated, I give me an because
I want
when
to
you
say
said
that's social media too, video, right? Because it's going out on YouTube, LinkedIn.
just
Yeah.
distinguish for me what you mean, because I'm thinking like X and Facebook and YouTube.
Right. Well, channels would be like your social media, pay per click, SEO, email marketing.
Yep, I got you. I don't use any of that for myself. When I was in the corporate world, I did a ton of that for clients. That's where you said the 500 plus clients, and I would say email. I mean, again, we've only met, what, 5, 6, 7 years ago. That was after my corporate career, really. I stopped working full time corporate in 2017, but prior to that, I was in agencies or big corporations in internal agencies as a creative director and copywriter. I wrote, hundreds, if not thousands of emails. So that would be my number one. In this century, the last century, direct mail. You can't
Yeah.
see it, but I got an article up here way up high. It's out of the camera's view. I could probably get it in view somewhere. Yeah, right at the top there in the middle. It says junk mail king. So so I wrote a ton, and that's my long, strange journey, from junk mail to social media. And that was still probably what I've done the most work in
Okay.
is direct mail, if you're considering that a channel.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to see where email marketing was because you're a man after my own heart with email because that's the industry I'm in. That's
No, I
my
know you're
job.
big on email. I was the writer and the creative director for a lot of that. I was a senior copywriter at Vistaprint, which was
Oh wow.
in
Yeah.
the early days of Vistaprint too, which pumps out countless emails to their clients. And I was also a big proponent of email when the internet emerged. I worked for a .com called Digital Goods, and we sold ebooks before they were a thing. This .com went .bomb in 1999, 2000, right around that time period. And I was, writing a lot of emails for them, and that was almost before its time.
Wow. Yeah. No, I know you're all over social media. I thought, so are you saying email's number one or social number one for you
Well, now social,
now?
not even a question, Hank.
Right.
I threw in again. You seem to be looking for broader. Now I'm pretty exclusively social. Okay,
Right.
that's why I started mentioning different channels within or different platforms within the channel of social. But in terms of email, when I was corporate, that would be probably number two after direct mail. And I'd say there maybe an even Steven, pre-internet direct mail, post-internet email. And
Okay.
since on my own, yeah, I think this is a good question. I hope not making too much of it. Now
No.
it's all social since I've been on my own because I'm
Yeah.
teaching, that, marketing, business, and social media. And I have a lot more time to practice, be a practitioner of social because I'm on my own.
Right. And I'm turning it more into someone like you because I used to have, my newsletter that I was religiously doing every month. Now it's like I do it if I have time, but now I'm doubling down on YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn and all these channels. Let me ask you this question. If you create a lot of video content and somebody came to you and said, you can only post to one social media channel. Let's include a video podcast, right? Like on, iTunes and Spotify. Which one would you choose if you can only choose one social media platform to post to?
It's not my favorite channel, but I have to say LinkedIn because I'm still, in it for business reasons, and you can't overlook LinkedIn from a business perspective. Not my favorite channel. My
Right.
favorite channel is one that still a lot of people, not still, in this day, a lot of people have abandoned, and that's X. I mean, I was big on Twitter since the beginning, and I still love X. And I love that it's an open network. I love getting late breaking news. I love connecting with people from all over the world on X. Instagram is up there too. Instagram's,
Right.
probably the most popular right now with the younger generation. I'm agnostic. I live in probably 10 different places
Right.
online.
Yeah.
And, email is now for me, again, I'm not in it for my own business. I'm not necessarily selling anything nowadays. I'm teaching, I'm consulting a little bit, doing a lot of public speaking. So social alone serves my purpose.
You mentioned LinkedIn. And for me, and this is a speculation, I feel like video started to a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, video started to become very popular. Then they introduced their version of Reels, right? And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people started gravitating towards that. But I think it's either hit a plateau or it's actually starting to decline because I see less videos and more text-based posts that are longer and they're like stories.
Yep. Storytelling. So again, I've been doing video straight through whatever the algorithm, however it changes. I stick with my drill, my routine. But yes, video does not get the reach due to the algorithm. I think mainly that it used to on LinkedIn and a lot of these long text posts, storytelling. One sentence is a paragraph, so they're long and easy to read. It's a trend, and I think my advice is not to necessarily follow the trends. When I had clients and was doing it for clients, say at Overdrive Interactive for 4 years, my last full-time corporate gig, and I was a social media director there. Yeah, we had to make sure everything worked. We had to track the numbers. We had to drive traffic. We had to drive traffic so that it added revenue to our clients. To their revenue streams. We had to make sure it was working for them. But I don't worry about that personally myself. I feel that if you are always chasing the trends and chasing the numbers, it's going to change too often. So just stick with what you believe is your brand. Be authentic. Whether it's storytelling, video, short form, long form, channel agnostic am I, as long as you are visible. And so when I say channel agnostic, I'm in all channels. I would not neglect any of them necessarily.
Right. And I would say, if people are going to get started and do more video content, don't get discouraged. Even tomorrow, because I'm going to a conference, Inbox Expo, and I'm helping facilitate the conference and I'm speaking. I always have people come up to me in person at networking events and conferences, and they say like they see my content and they like it. But and I don't want to turn around and say, well, why didn't you like it or engage with it? Because they didn't, right? And I know because some of these people I know that I would have seen if they engaged with it. Or sometimes I go back a couple times I've gone back and looked and like, did they like it? They didn't, but they're watching it, which is an important metric to LinkedIn to help you with the algorithm. And the fact that people are saying they like it, that means they're watching your content.
And that is unmeasured, indistinguishable metrics that matter big time, and that's indirect and again unnoticed necessarily by the clients we work for or even ourselves, unless people we meet them in real life and they tell us that. We know anecdotally, Hank, because we do it all the time. I have the same stories to tell, and when I did it for the clients, it was the same. Put it this way, it was the same thing I had to argue. In addition to the numbers I'm presenting to you guys, you don't know how many people are seeing this and they're just not liking it or engaging with it. But it is brand building and indirectly resulting in more revenue for your company.
What's your favorite swagger item on the wall behind you?
All the medals from my marathons.
I love that. It's a personal thing, right? I love that.
Yeah, no, that's part of my life. 24 marathons now, 20 Boston marathons. But marketing wise, 2009, it's not on it's on over here on my shelf over here. But when I was direct marketer of the year by New England Direct Marketing Association, that was a big deal. And I think a lot of that was from my years, decades in direct mail, but also that I embraced social media early on. I was known for my blog and being kind of this I'm trying to think of the word, going around shouting, the internet is coming, social media is coming, get on board.
I like that. I like that. That might be a show
Pied
title.
Piper, and probably
Awesome.
annoyingly so.
Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think is important to share?
I want to ask you, when you asked me about social and your videos and your podcast, because we're doing a lot of the same things. I'm just a couple decades older than you or more. What is your where do you see? So you asked me, and I gave you a broad answer. I said marketing's all over the place, and we I don't think anyone knows. But do you think you know, or do you agree with me that we're not totally sure where marketing's going right now because of all the changes with technology, et cetera?
I think the marketing strategic planning that we know is going to severely change. And I hear more and more people saying this when I said it last year. There's going to be like this UI-less revolution. In other words, you're going to talk to a prompt or a window and say, I want to send this email and this social post and this video to these channels with this content. Here's the brief. And you're not going to have to log into HubSpot, YouTube, all these different tools to push out your content. Therefore, there needs to be an emphasis on the pre-work, the quality, the assets that you're going to have, whether it's saved in a folder on a computer, because the AI agent's going to pick that up. Therefore, I think QA is going to be a little bit different when it comes to your content, especially with email and website design, because now you can just prompt a website and get that. I think things are going to happen a lot faster because people can now
Yeah.
code emails and code websites and do it in real time. But more importantly, on the consumer side, people are going to use these AI tools more and more because we hear like the death of SEO, which it's not dead, it's not dying yet, but people are using Gemini, ChatGPT to ask questions and
Yes.
learn things. And I heard that YouTube is kind of afraid of people not going there to learn how to fix their car or fix their dryer. They can just ask ChatGPT and it
Yes.
gives them step by step. But I do think that that visual representation through video still will be important. I feel like video will start to be embedded into these AI chats down the road. It'll get pulled in. And I think that the slew of videos that you can choose from will narrow down into a few that will be recommended by these AI tools. I just think that the way that I guess the marketing interface is going to change drastically, is my thought.
Correct. And people will have to again embrace these changes or they're going to be left behind very, very quickly. But it doesn't mean there aren't as many or maybe even more opportunities for marketers. There's still the brains needed, there's still the
Right.
people skills, the communication skills, the empathy for knowing your customers. And actually the bar has been raised, expectations are higher, but we have no reason not to necessarily succeed in providing our customers and prospective customers with what they want. I mean, if I was running my own business, I would have high expectations of my employees right now. And you also mentioned the quick turnarounds. I mean, good luck to anybody creating content, for at an agency like I did, for
Yeah.
40 plus years or 30 plus years, let's say. 40 plus years now, my career altogether. But the pressure's on, but I think expectations are high, but I think you have a very, very good chance of being successful in
Yeah.
marketing today because of all of these tech changes in technology.
At one point we're going to call them the older methods. They'll still work for a long time because direct mail is kind of making a resurgence. People want to have physical mail that they can hold and read because they're sick of scrolling or going into their inbox and having thousands of emails. They want something tangible, and if you do direct marketing or direct mail correctly, you can succeed. Same thing with, if everybody has all these new fancy tools and are using AI to do all these things, you posting to YouTube or, to LinkedIn or doing an old school email newsletter still can work.
Hank, what you said exactly. Again, I'm teaching at the college level now, Suffolk University, Northeastern, and Mass College of Pharmacy. And that generation, the younger generation, Gen Z, et cetera, there's a backlash. They're not necessarily all in on AI.
Right.
And they appreciate some of the old ways of doing things. And that
Yeah.
could be the tangible, like direct mail.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're buying records again, vinyl
Yeah.
records. My son actually asked me to buy him a regular MP3 player so he can have a separate MP3 player that doesn't connect to the internet. And he wants wired. He's got wired headphones again.
And they're listening to podcasts, and podcasts are not unlike, talk show radio, which,
Yep.
I grew up listening to and still do listen to occasionally. And we can listen to it on Sirius XM or, again, a podcast like you and I have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that much akin to what we were doing in the past, recent
Right.
past.
And
It's
really quickly before we wrap it up, when
yes.
I talk about podcasts, because we both have one, what I've come to learn is like the long form format, like, or even like what we're doing now, 40-minute, 30-minute episode. A lot of people will not sit through that whole episode, right? They'll either get an AI overview of it, they'll pull snippets out. I think the gold is in the snippets, chopping it up and sharing it on social shorts, on LinkedIn, whatever format or Instagram. That's where the gold is, and that's where the engagement is. And then you might actually be able to take somebody who's never even heard of your show, subscribe, and they may become one of the people who actually listen to it. But when people stumble upon your show, the chances of them subscribing is pretty small unless you're a well-known celebrity.
Hank, that's a classic social media marketing strategy. Slice and dice your content, repurpose your content, create the long form. We did it with blog posts, do it with podcasts, do it with videos, chunk it up, use a tool or do it manually. Good luck doing it manually. It takes a little more time, but there's Riverside, there's Opus Clip, there's many, many tools nowadays, and put it on all those different social channels. And exactly what I have been brought up doing in this internet era and what I would recommend to clients.
Yeah.
Long form content, chunk it up and then send it every which way. And it's evergreen content too, another term. It can last. I mean, some of what we're saying is going to be timeless. It's going to make sense next year and 2 years
Yeah.
from now.
What's interesting is I still use Final Cut Pro, and I actually before the show I was chopping up a previous episode because I could do it pretty quickly, and I feel like these AI tools are just not getting the right segments yet, but they will. The editing is awesome, and the cuts are awesome, but I just think sometimes they're not getting the full conversation or the pieces I need.
Yeah, I agree. Editing, it's more work than doing what we're doing right now itself, but it's worth it. And again, if you have a company and a few people, not just a solopreneur, have someone do that. That's a great value
Mhm.
for anyone to be able to do the editing strategically and then distribute it everywhere on social, whether you're using technology or actually, human talent. It's very, very worth it doing that, disseminating that content in as many places as possible.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Number one, make sure to get Bob's book, 20 Jobs, 20 Lessons, available on Amazon. I'm going to link all of your social media channels because you provided them to me. There's only a few, probably like 10 channels there. We'll get people to come see you. Hopefully they enjoyed the conversation. And with that, folks, have a great day.